that has done this. And we pray, God, that you would be honored, that your people would be blessed, that all of us would grow closer to you because of what we experience in this Bible study. We just thank you and we praise you, God. In your name we pray and give thanks. Amen.
Amen.
All right, so I guess I should introduce, y'all know me mostly, but there might be some people who don't. So I'm Arionne Yvette Williams. Let's see what I want to say about myself. I am a minister. I've been in ministry. I have an interesting story. We have to tell that story later of how I got into ministry, because God kind of backed me in. I went to seminary and then became a preacher. It's weird. But anyway, I'm absolutely passionate about women and girls, and doing ministry with women and girls is one of the things I'm most excited about. And so earlier this year, obviously Beyonce drops the song Formation, and the world goes crazy because every time Beyonce does something, the world goes crazy. And I just thought that little part of the song, I slay, right? I thought it was so catchy. And everybody was kind of saying it and repeating it. But I was like, well, I wonder if that term can mean something theological. You know, when we say I slay, can we somehow be referencing our faith? You know, Beyonce saying it, but she's talking about how fly she is, how powerful she is, how she handles her business, how when she steps on the stage, she destroys it, yada yada. But I want to know, like, can we use the term I slay and mean, be referring to maybe the fact that we were created in the image and the likeness of God, or that God makes us powerful, or has put so much in us, or has called us to greatness, or whatever that was. And I said, well, let me just start this conversation. So several of you may have remember I posted this on Facebook and asked the question, can we mean something theological, or can we refer to our faith when we use the term I slay? And the response was like crazy. Okay, like I don't know if I've ever had that many people respond to a post. And so many women were like, yeah, girl, I slay because God made me in his image and blah, blah, blah. And other people were like, no, Beyonce ain't talking about Jesus. You can't say I slay and mean nothing, that has anything to do with faith. And so I was like, as we were having a conversation, I said, well, maybe it would be a good idea to have a Bible study where we explore some of the women of the Bible and look at their stories and see, could they have said that in their own way, in their time. And by I slay, it just means I killed it, I did it, it was dope, it was awesome, what I did was amazing. And when we say that, can we mean we did all of that because of God was empowering us to do it, right? And so that's really what we're going to explore in the Bible study. And so I guess we'll jump right in. Oh, Periscope people, if you want to share this post, you hit the little man in the bottom right corner and click that to share the post. Also, if you're watching on Facebook, feel free to share it as well. Thanks, guys. I need to give a quick thing to you. You are free to comment during the class, but I won't respond to all the comments right away. If we have parts of where we do discussion, I'll respond then. If not, we can do discussion later in the Facebook group. Okay, so off we go. So, the story of Esther. Tell me, what did y'all think about the story of Esther? And we'll jump in and do a quick. But Steph said Esther slay, she slay, which is true. We select, and in some ways that's kind of true, literally, toward the end of the book. Esther, in fact, did literally slay. And so we want to talk a little bit about her story. And I'm kind of shaping her story around this idea of purpose and prayer, because I think that's really kind of what emerges. But let's kind of recap the story a little bit. What did we hear happen? And we'll kind of talk through it together. What happened in the story of Esther? Who was she? What happened?
She was the replacement wife.
So Esther was the replacement wife. I like that. So the king had a wife by the name of Vashti, and we'll talk about her next week. There's a reason we did Esther first, and we'll go back to Vashti, because I don't think you can make sense of Vashti's story until you understand what happened with Esther. But anywho, so Vashti got the boot, right? So then they like, you need to get you another shorty. You need you a wifey, because he was all sad. Oh, I lost my wife, she's gone. You read that first verse of chapter 2. He's like, and the king, it says right there, it cracks me up. After these things, when the anger of King Xerxes had abated, he remembered Vashti and what he had done and what had been decreed against her. So he was like, dang, she really gone. And so they say, well, we got to get you a new wife. So they, of course, start this contest. kind of interesting contest. Okay, they start this contest. They recruit all. They get the let's go get the virgins. I know, right? Somebody said it was the first Bachelor. That's exactly what I thought. I was like, I just really criticized that show, but it definitely never did the Bible. So they recruit these virgins, and then they all basically are being tried out. Ultimately, the king, and we'll talk about that in a second. Ultimately, the king selects Esther, and she's in the palace. And she's, being a queen, right? The big piece is that she hasn't told anybody that she's a Jew, right? And so the king he's of course the king of the Persian Empire. Nobody knows that she's a Jew. And so because her big cousin, who had been looking out for her, his name is Mordecai. And he was like, don't tell nobody where we really from, right? So she didn't. And so she's living her life, doing her thing. Well, of course, Mordecai, for whatever reason, has beef with Haman, right? And it's interesting. The scholars, when you study, they don't know why Mordecai refused to bow to Haman. But, and the text doesn't say. We don't know. But he just didn't, right? He wouldn't bow to him. This makes him mad. Haman gets mad. So, of course, then Haman, I don't know why I didn't think to bring some water. That was a thing. But anyway, you guys appreciate it. Basically, Haman gets mad, and he kind of tricks the king, right? Because he goes to the king and says, "Hey, it's these people. They will not bow, and they don't follow the rules, and they don't show respect for the laws, and they live their own way." I mean, he turned this whole thing. It was one guy, Mordecai. It was like, "I'm not bowing to you. Like, it's your life. It's not happening, right?" And so he got mad about that. Got the king to decree that these Jews would all be killed in one day, right? Like, we just gonna set it up and we just gonna wipe them out in one day. And another key piece, I don't know if you picked up on it or not, but what was the key piece about the king's decrees?
Had to be sealed with his ring, right?
Right, which also meant what? Had to be sealed with the ring, but that meant
It couldn't be reversed.
Couldn't be reversed. Exactly. Oh shoot. I need help. I think Facebook dropped. Oh, I think we're back. We're back. All right. So the king's decrees could not be reversed. So once he had made this rule that we're gonna go through and we're gonna kill all the Jews, he couldn't reverse it. So then, of course, what happens next?
Mordecai changes out his clothes.
Right. Mordecai starts mourning. He is like so stressed out. He of course puts on sackcloth and ashes, tears his clothes. He's clearly going through, right? And going up and down the street, crying and hollering, right? And then what happens? Esther is like, they come and tell him, like, your cousin's tripping. Like, I don't know what's good, but he's out there, he tore his clothes, he's screaming and hollering. So she sends word to try to figure out why he's upset. He sends the word back, hey, they trying to kill all of us, right? Yeah. And let's go ahead and flip to chapter 4. And of course, I want to look at verse. Let's look at verse 10.
Is Facebook up?
Facebook is up.
Oh, okay.
Facebook is up, and so is press over there.
Okay, good.
So for verse 10, what happens right there? It says, then Esther spoke to Hathach, that's the guy, the messenger, going in between Esther and Mordecai. Said, saying, all the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces know that if any man or woman goes to the king inside the inner court without being called, there's but one law. All alike are to be put to death. Only if the king holds out the golden scepter to someone, may that person live. I myself have not been called to come to the king for 30 days. Right? So Esther's problem is what? She's right. So, because Mordecai's like, look, you need to talk to your husband because they're trying to kill all of us. You know, and she's like, well, but he hasn't called me in 30 days. So much. We're going to unpack it. I know that's a lot. Like, what you mean? Right. So she's like scared, and because she's like, well, if I go in there, I could be killed, right? Everybody knows this is a law. You just don't roll on the king like that. You go when you're called to come to the king, right? And so then this is where the really the core of the story the very center. The next thing, it says verse 12. When they told Mordecai what Esther had said, Mordecai told them to reply to Esther, do not think in the king's palace you will escape any more than all the other Jews. For if you keep silent at such a time as this, relief and deliverance will arise from the Jews from another quarter. But you and your father's family will perish. Who knows? Perhaps you have come to royal dignity for just such a time as this. And this, of course, is like the core of what Esther's struggle is. She's scared to death if she goes into the king, and he hadn't requested her, that she could be killed. But Mordecai says, look, boo, you're probably going to die anyway. Like, nobody, like, don't think you're going to get away with nobody realizing that you're a Jew. It will come out, so you may as well go ahead and, go in there and do what you have to do, right? And so, and then the other piece is, the key piece is this idea, when he says, who knows, perhaps you were brought to this position for such a time as this. So he is saying to her, perhaps this is the very reason you became queen, right? So that's the major recap of the first part of the story. Ultimately, we know that she does go into the king accepts her, and we'll kind of talk through a few of those other events in just a second. Now, I want to give you just, let me some pause. Any questions about the story? And was there anything you read that you was like, girl, what is this? No?
Names.
Huh? The names? Yeah, I know, they're kind of special. Biblical names be like really struggling. Okay, so let me just give you a little bit of background. First of all, Esther is, what kind of makes Esther special in terms of it being a book in the Bible? It's one of only what? There's only 2 like this in the Bible. 2
books that are named after women.
2 books named after women. 66 books, we only got 2. So, and so we have two women, Ruth and Esther. So she's one of those. Also, the story is set around 486 to 465 BC during the reign of King Xerxes. And forgive me, tonight we don't have visuals. We'll have visuals next week. Okay, we'll have PowerPoint and all that. I will also give you all the link if you want to look at the PowerPoint later. It'll be online. You can look at it later. All right, so this will, so you have all these Jews, and they're not, in their promised land or whatever. They're just dispersed throughout the Persian Empire. And the text says that Xerxes had 127 provinces that he's over. So he's like a big deal, right? He's the king, all right, and he has all this. And then one other thing that you may not know is that this book, Esther, had difficulty making it into the Bible because there are no prayers, no sacrifices in it, and there's nothing distinctly Jewish about it, right? And when you're talking about the Old Testament, that's what you're talking about, the Jewish Bible, right? And so it's not obviously theological, right? So I asked a question in the reflection questions I sent out, and one of those questions was, who's missing from this book? A name you think might be mentioned that just never is. God. You wouldn't expect to hear the name of Jesus in the book of Esther because that's New Testament, right? So Jesus hadn't been born. None of that had happened yet, right? But that name God is not in the book of Esther one blessed time. Not one time. It's not in there. And so there was a controversy of whether or not we should include it or not. I mean, can we really say it's a theological book? I don't know. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Now, this is another piece I want to share with you about the type of writing that the book of Esther is. It is what you would call a Jewish novella, okay, or a novel. In other words, this didn't actually historically happen, okay? Now, it's not something you'll hear people talk about a lot. And let me explain a little bit more. There are many genres of writing in the Bible, right? It's not all the same. There's historical books, right? There's gospel, which the gospels are like trying to tell you all about Jesus' life, right? And so it's kind of got this biographical piece to it, right? So these are things we in fact do believe actually happened in history. But But there's also poetry, right? So you got poetry like the Song of Solomon, which we'll get to in week 4. You have apocalyptic literature that kind of speaks to the end of times and uses a lot of symbolism. Sounds like what book? Revelation, right? You have letters. So you have like the Apostle Paul writing 1.5 million letters. He wrote more than half of the New Testament because a lot of it are the letters that he wrote to the different churches that he founded. And you have legal writing too. You have like the law, right? And so there's all these different genres in the Bible. But the reason we want to know the genre is we want to be able to, it helps us to understand how we should read it and take it in. Now, I should tell you, there are scholars do disagree. Some scholars think the events that happened in the book of Esther did in fact historically happen. But here's why some don't think so. First of all, historically Xerxes, the king Xerxes, was in fact a historical person. He shows up like in other sources, in other history sources or whatever, he shows up. He was a real person. But his wife was not named Vashti or Esther. His wife, and I don't know if I'm going to say this right, is Ameritrix. That's his wife's name in history. Okay, and so it was not, so some scholars say, no, this is somebody who wrote kind of a story, you know, to kind of encourage the Jews and to help them to live out their faith better. But so the biggest problem with saying it historically happened or did not is that Xerxes is a historical person, but there is no other record of an Esther or a Vashti ever living, right? All right, so don't let that unnerve you too much, okay? So then, how is that helpful? Well, let me say this. Not all biblical writing actually claims to bear witness to a historical event. It's not there because it's trying to, the Bible ain't a history book. In other words, the Bible is a book of faith, right? It's not trying to necessarily give you the history of everything that ever happened, though it does speak to a lot of historical events. But the Bible is a book of faith that speaks to the divine and human relationship. It wants to talk to us about who God is, who we are, and how we ought to be in relationship with God. Yes?
Say that again.
I said the Bible is a book of faith that speaks to the divine human relationship. It wants to tell us who God is, and it wants to tell us who we are, and how we are in relationship to God. And it does that in a lot of ways. It does that through historical books, it does that through poetry, it does that through letters, it does that through gospels, and in this case, a novel. Okay? So, just because we have scholars saying that the events in Esther didn't actually historically happen, doesn't mean that it has no power, that it has nothing to say to us about who we are and who God is and how we ought to be in relationship with God. In fact, despite the fact it never even mentions the name God, we read it and we see so much value in it for how we ought to be in relationship with God. Yes? I mean, did you find yourself reading like, I know God did that, right? Like, there's no way. There's some key pieces. Like, for example, the night King Xerxes couldn't sleep, right? He couldn't sleep. Now, Haman's getting ready to set Mordecai all the way up, right? He's ready to kill him tomorrow, right? And for whatever reason, Xerxes couldn't sleep that night. And he said, why don't y'all come on in here and read the records to me? Let's see what's going on. And then he realizes he has never honored Mordecai for having saved his life, right? And so it's that kind of stuff that you go, no, ain't nobody said God's name, but I know God was moving, right?
Look at God.
Look at God. Exactly. And I want to say this. It's still, again, just as powerful. There's a scripture in 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 16 that says, again, that's 2 Timothy 3:16. And that says, all scripture is inspired by God and is useful for teaching the faith and correcting error, for resetting the direction of a person's life and training her in good living. Right? All scripture. So it doesn't matter what kind of writing it is. All scripture is inspired by God and is useful for teaching the faith and correcting error, for resetting the direction of a person's life and training her in good living. So we'll embrace the book of Esther the same we would the gospel or anything else. It doesn't really matter whether it historically happened or not. It's there to speak to us about who we are in terms of our relationship with God. Yes?
Yes.
All right, let's keep rocking. All right, so one major theme of the book of Esther is, and this is part of the reason we want to recognize it as a novel, is because it helps us know how to read it. Well, if you want to talk about a book in terms of it's a novel or a story, well, then you'll talk about things like protagonist, antagonist. You'll talk about things like theme, character, all that. So one of the themes of the book of Esther is ironic reversal, right? What kind of irony is like ironic reversal? Like something was supposed to go one way, and then it flipped and went the whole other way.
Right.
What are some examples of that in the book of Esther?
Haman parading Mordecai around.
Yes! Okay, so somebody
After
said,
he set up a whole plot to kill him.
Right.
50 some odd things, how did they find them there from?
right, so Haman, that's a great example of ironic reversal. Haman decided, he ended up having to parade Mordecai around. It's like, this is the man whom the king wants to honor, when he was planning to kill him. Right, and then of course, he later builds this huge gallows for him to be hung on, and ultimately, he's the one that hangs on it, right? Ironic reversal for sure. What else? What's anything else that was ironic? Yes.
He got rid of his first wife because she didn't follow directions, and his new wife pretty much changed.
And she didn't follow directions either, right? Right. So somebody said that Xerxes got rid of his first wife because she didn't follow directions, but then Esther didn't follow directions either, right? And the first time it gets Vashti kicked out, Esther is embraced. That's another reversal. Absolutely. Anything else?
I'd probably say the power of a woman given that time frame. She kind of came in here and was like, let me flip my hair and bat my eyes and I'm about to get what I want in the outcome, whereas usually, you don't see that. You see women in more background, kind of demure.
Right.
Kind of
So this tension where the women actually don't have like social, economic, political power really whatsoever, but then you have this woman, Esther, totally turning the tables and really guiding what ultimately ends up happening, right? Absolutely. Agree with that. So I would say another main character of the book would absolutely be God, even though God's name is never mentioned. So we have, and I'm kind of mentioning this, I said we believe God is acting behind the scenes, right, on behalf of Esther and Mordecai. Now I need to be clear, that's what we're saying we believe is happening. The text never says that God is doing absolutely anything, right? In fact, you could read the text and be like, they did this, right? But now when we read it as a book of faith, as a story that where we're trying to understand how God is acting, we might think that God just did some tiny little things here and there. Like how was it that Mordecai ended up hearing about the plot that these two guys were going to kill the king? He just happened to find, how convenient. He finds out, he happens to, overhear it, right? So those are things that we might just look to in terms of divine providence. So that's probably another theme of the book, that there are these ways in which God is functioning, kind of like maybe God does with us. We aren't always aware, right, of the things we're being kept from, the ways we're kind of being pushed and nudged this way or that way. But perhaps God is kind of positioning us either to be able to save us or to prevent us from being hurt or anything like that, or to move us into something good. Yes?
Yeah.
Y'all with me? Okay. Let's keep it moving. Now let's talk about this contest. Just a little bit. So there's this contest in chapter 2, and it's happening precisely to Daniel's point because Vashti got the boot. So now we have to have this new queen come in. And so the king appoints a commissioner who's going to go out and select all the beautiful women from the provinces, right? Like they might have come in a room just like this and be like, you, no, I'm not pointing to nobody. no, you, yes, or whatever. And so then they are forced, once they sort of get rounded up, they're forced to go through these lengthy beauty treatments. Now listen, I like to go to the spa, but now, my goodness. How long were the beauty treatments? You all remember?
6 months here.
Well, there were 2, right? 6 months each, so it's a year.
Well, they also didn't pay a regular.
Probably took a little more.
Well, that is true.
There was no
monthly
soap.
thing.
Yes,
Or hot water.
that's a good point.
So it
You know, I never thought about that.
might have been necessary.
So let me tell you about the foolishness that just went on. Somebody said that they really didn't bathe on a regular basis. Like, we serious about our bathing, right? Especially as Americans, right? But they probably hadn't had a good bathing in a good while. So maybe they needed 12 months.
So air it
The
out.
fault was probably real.
They didn't wash their clothes. They weren't wearing this. Just like
Right.
unprocessed wool.
That's
like
true.
off the lamb on my body.
Off the lamb on my body, wool,
I would have
right?
never thought that.
Please. 'Cause ladies didn't shampoo their hair. So
Yes, I'm gonna give you some snaps on that.
a lot going on.
That's something, and people who've seen me teach before, that's something I do. If I start snapping, feel free to join me. If somebody says something you like, be like, yes, girl. That's how we support each other. So when you say something I really, really like, I'll snap. Okay, so what do you make of that? That was one of the
They
reflections.
also had to eat like fruits. They couldn't eat anything but like fruits and
They had a strict
chocolate and
diet.
stuff, yeah.
Maybe they were vegan. Let me tell you how they got that life.
Process.
Right.
Like you said, if you hadn't bathed, then you probably weren't eating properly, and your system needs to be cleaned
So
out.
they gotta clean out the
Yeah, all
system,
that.
eat the right stuff.
Smell
So you
like
can be right, that's when you.
Because back then, the normal people didn't eat fruits and vegetables. They ate meat.
Yeah.
So they were eating a lot of meat.
That's a lot of
Yeah,
toxins.
A lot of times, so maybe they really,
Lots of wine, which is really
right,
and
right.
like
So they probably, okay, so this is a great point. But what do you think about this notion, though, of women, literally being rounded up? And keep in mind what the context is. I want to be very clear. When they went through the beauty treatment, when they went in with the king, it was not so he could hold them all night.
Right. That was the purpose.
It was, right, there is a sexual piece to this, okay? And so the idea that they would go and then have to lay with the king, and then they wouldn't see him again until, unless he called him again. I'm like, oh God, don't you feel like you might have been through that? He didn't call me no more. Woo! I'm gonna keep it real. So I think, think about what that's like for a woman, a virgin, right? These are virgins. They never even had sex, right? They get rounded up and they don't have much choice in the matter. It's not like they can say, I'm gonna opt out, I'm good, I don't think this is for
well,
me.
like she just said, now they're ruined. All the women
Right.
that didn't get chosen are not getting married
So now they become
because don't nobody else want
They're just concubines.
Yeah,
They come with their call.
leftovers.
Right, they're basically like concubines now, because you're so right. So once they're in there, and once this has happened, now they're stuck in the harem for the rest of their lives. They're not gonna get married. They're ruined. One of the scholars I was reading kept saying deflowered. I was like, oh my God, not you gonna say deflowered. So yeah, so these women kind of get stuck. People are in here, they're clowning on me. Oh, real quick, I'm sorry, my mommy's here. Y'all gotta say hi to my mommy. She jumped on. All right. So anyway, so their whole life gets changed, and that's kind of messed up, right? So what did that feel like reading that as a woman?
It took a minute. I was hurt. I was actually really hurt because the first time I read it, and I was like, okay, please. I mean, he thought they were beautiful. I did not get the sexual piece at all. It's like, no, they weren't doing that back then.
So missing.
And then I'm like, oh no. They said, please. Like, oh my God. Like, I was really devastated by the whole thing.
You were devastated by the process. And you don't have a choice. It's not like you can be like, I don't want to do it. Like the commissioner was like,
No,
no,
don't
I
mean
want
no.
you. You
Right.
going. Period. Whole life has changed. You know
Nobody
what?
messed them up.
Speaks to how you even look at Esther, because if you grew up in church, reading Esther at 10 and reading Esther at 36
Yeah.
is a very different story.
Right,
You
right,
don't
right,
realize at 10.
right. What's really going down?
Well, like you said, it's a novel, so like she's saying at 10, it probably is like, ooh, out of all the girls she got picked, and now she's queen. But now we know it's like, it's like, oh man, she has to go right with along with everybody else. Like, yeah, so.
Right. So, right. Some of the ladies were saying, like, you know, might sound good reading this at age 10 versus being, you know, a grown woman and reading a story. It's kind of a different feel. These women really, their lives are totally changed, and it's never gonna go back. Like what you knew, what you thought, you know, it's never happening. And so, but let's look at how Esther handled her situation. Now, she didn't have, keep in mind, we're talking about women in the Persian Empire in, you know, you talking antiquity. And so these women had no power, no voice. They couldn't resist any order they were given. Their whole life was about bringing honor to some man, usually their father and then later their husband. Queen Esther, or Esther at this point, let's look at what she did though. First thing, when she gets into the harem, what's the first thing that happens? Let me give you a hint. It's still in chapter 2. Look at verse 9. Haggai is the guy over their harem. It said the girl pleased him and won his favor, and he quickly provided her with cosmetic treatments and her portion of food, and with 7 chosen maids from the king's palace, and advanced her and her maids to the best place in the harem. So, like, she comes in, she like, who knows how she really felt about it. That's one thing, unfortunately, women, you know, in the Bible did not have a voice. They also didn't have the power of the pen, right? So they didn't get to write this stuff down. So we don't know what her perspective was. She might have hated this, right? But she seems to make the best of her circumstances. She gets there and wins the favor of the guy over the harem, right? And so,
that's also means what you're saying about God's providence.
could be, again, God's providence. He kind of just took a liking, right, to Esther right out the gate. And she got ushered straight into VIP. She didn't even have to, we gonna put you in the best room down here. I remember we were at Howard's homecoming last fall. We were, a couple of my live sisters and I were going out with these guys that paid for VIP for this party. We go, and they thought we was about to wait at the door. Sorry, that's the point of VIP, that you don't wait. Right. It was great, right? But just imagine, Esther gets there, and she gets ushered straight into the best place there. She gets all these maidens. Yes.
I was just gonna say, Esther and Mordecai are Jews, is that correct?
That is correct.
Aren't the Jews God's chosen people?
You better come on up in here. So my stepmom was just saying the Jews are chosen people. So again, maybe this is God's providence, to Marissa's point. God pulling this together. We don't know. We have to be clear. This is us saying this is what we believe is happening. The text does not say that. That's what we're saying we believe. Love, love, love all of this. So it seems like Esther kind of chose to work within the system, right? Which is going to be in stark contrast to Vashti's approach, right? Again, we'll talk about her next week. And so, you know, it also kind of made me think of, I'll show you on the PowerPoint. It made me think of Imani. Y'all remember Imani from Coming to America? Princess, or she was supposed to become the queen, and then like he decided, nah, I'm gonna marry Lisa. So her whole entire life is shaped so she would, you know, whatever you like, all of that, and it all gets shaped.
You know what you like.
So the difficulty is that the women have a difficult time, but they ultimately, but Esther ultimately works within her circumstances. So let's get down to her savvy secrets of success, right? What does she do? How does she slay, right? What would we say about her? First thing, there's I think 6 points. We're gonna hit them. First thing, Esther listened to wise counsel. You know, if you're gonna be productive, if you're gonna slay, if you're gonna, you know, be this amazing woman that walks in your greatness, you gotta listen to some wise counsel sometimes. Mordecai is Esther's older cousin, and he's looked out for her whole life, right? He raised her, because she's an orphan. We didn't point that out. Yeah. There's the irony there, too. She starts as a Jewish orphan in the Persian Empire and becomes queen of the Persian Empire. Huge reversal there. Huge. But he took her in when her parents died, and he, of course, was checking on her when she was going through her beauty treatments and all that, and making sure things were, that she was doing well, because the text says he wanted to know how she fared, right? First thing, he told her, do not tell anyone that you're Jewish. Now, we don't know why he told her that, and he seems to have some role in the king's outside the palace. We're not sure what, the text never really says exactly what, but he must have some wisdom there. He must kind of know, maybe nobody needs to know that you're, you know, Jewish, so just keep that on low, right? And then he also later gives her intel that ultimately saves the king's life. So he hears about this plot to kill the king. Again, that's end of chapter 2, verses 19 through 23, I think. And so, okay. And so he shares that with her. She shares that with the king. Of course, it ends that assassination plot. The point is, Mordecai has proven to be a wise, trustworthy mentor and guide, right? He's been there, right? And so when we say listen to wise counsel, that doesn't mean that, any and everything somebody tells you, you just go off and do, right? But he's kind of proven himself to already be somebody she can listen to, right? Super important as we think about business, we think about life, we think about love and relationship choices. We need to find some way where we listen to wise counsel. We need to have somebody that can get to us, when we want to do one thing or we're not sure, we're trying to figure it out, somebody that we'll listen to that might know something. And the biggest, of course, important piece that he shares with her that she does listen to is the line we read about don't think that just because you're in the king's palace, you're going to escape. If they start killing Jews, you're going to die too, boo-boo. And so, our deliverance and relief will come from somewhere else, but you're not going to get away. You will perish if you don't do what you're supposed to do. Perhaps you're here for such a time as this. And she needed to hear that because she was only worried about her immediate circumstances. Like, I'm going to die if I go see the king. But he's like, this is bigger than you. And sometimes, we're so focused on the thing right here in front of us. No. We can't get past that. But there's somebody else that has a different perspective that's been through some things and can look and say, no, boo, but think about this. You probably got to do this right here, right? So listen to wise counsel. Let me skip this page. And the point is, we may not always have the answers, but somebody does, right? There's somebody. So we might want to seek the wisdom of the elders sometimes. Y'all watch Scandal. You Scandal people here?
No spoilers.
Oh, no, I haven't even, I don't, right. Let's not talk too much because I didn't even watch last week. So, so I'm not going to share any details. But no, how, as crazy as Papa Pope is, every now and then, Olivia needs to go and sit down and talk to her dad.
Because he said it straight.
Right. Somebody says he says it straight. And it's just something about that. Sometimes you just need to hear from somebody that knows. And again, it can be about business, a career. You might need a mentor in that space. It could be a family thing going on, maybe a marriage, whatever it is, or maybe it's something you're doing in ministry. We got to have some mentors. Or sometimes it can be a colleague. It doesn't necessarily have to be somebody older than us, but it could be somebody that has a little bit more knowledge, in the area where we're lacking. And sometimes the advice is unsolicited, right? So sometimes, I didn't really ask you. Because I'm not exactly sure Esther asked him to say all that, right? But she needed to hear it, right? And now you do have to, this is the key piece though, you got to pray for discernment though.
Yes.
Right? So that you know who to listen to and who not to listen to and when to listen and when not to listen, right? Because not everybody has the word and not everybody, everybody talking to you, God did not see him, and so you want to make sure you're praying for discernment too, so you can hear God, and be clear. Okay, is this really something I should do? Is this the right way to go or no? Right? And if nothing else, just take a moment and just listen and let it soak in, and kind of go from there. So that's her first step. She listens to wise counsel. But here's the thing. Once she listens to what she says, well, now she has a decision to make, right? It's either, okay, I go with what Mordecai's saying and I go to the king and try to get him to reverse his decision or to save us or whatever, knowing that I might die if I go. And that's a very real concern. And keep in mind, the last time a queen broke the rules, she got put out. So, it's not looking like if she breaks the rules, it may not go too good. She's scared. So, and it makes sense to be scared. And that's going to happen, right? This idea of slaying and being all God has called you to be, you will absolutely face those moments where you were like, I don't know if I really want to do this. Oh, this is scary. I don't know how this is going to turn out. That's real. If you're walking in, and I just really want to point that out. We talk about purpose and stuff like it's so wonderful, and it is. But there will be moments when it's like, oh God, you can't be serious. Like, whoa. Purpose will absolutely require some courage sometimes. It's going to require it. It's not going to always be easy and always feel good to make the move you need to make. Now, growth, and on the other side of that hard decision is growth and development, all of that. But you have to get through this part right here, where you're scared. And so, what does Esther decide to do? Well, verse 15. Somebody saying something?
Well, one of the things when you talk about discernment and needing the support of people, she asked her people to fast 3 days for her.
Girl, you better be on the next step already. Yeah.
So whenever you are going through something and you need clarity or discernment, you need to pray and fast as a test of faith, as well as the people that are in your support system. You need them also to uplift you too, so they need to be on one accord.
And that's exactly the next step. The next step. So once you listen to wise counsel, the next step is enlist the help and the prayers of your community. Yes, that is absolutely it. Chapter 4, verse 16 says, "Go gather all the Jews to be found in Susa and hold a fast on my behalf." Right? Now, interestingly, we want to point out that the text never actually mentions prayer. It only says fast. Okay? However, I think that we can understand this fast to certainly be a spiritual and prayerful practice. We don't really think of fasting without thinking of prayer, right? When we think fast, we're like, the point is to also be praying, right? Mainly that, I don't eat this cheeseburger or whatever. Just kidding. But the point of the fast and the prayer, right, is to seek God's attention. And I think to decide that she means not just a fast, but it really is about seeking God in this moment for her. And she doesn't do it alone. She gathers her community. So sometimes we find ourselves in tough spots and we feel like we got to do it all ourselves or hold it down all on our own. And no. And let me just be very clear, as Christians, we are a communal faith, right? That's why you hear all this language about where you are one body. There's this one body, many members,
Right.
but one body, right? And so we're not supposed to go through all this stuff all by ourselves. And sometimes we black women have it so bad. We gotta be superwoman. We gotta hold all. We gotta take care of everybody. We gotta take care of everybody's problems, and we are killing ourselves doing that. When you're going through something or you're trying to make a decision and you don't know which way to go, you need to reach out for the support of your family, your friends, your community. That's so important. So you want to make sure you do that. Now, I will tell you this. This is a fun fact. There are some other what we call, let me give you this big seminary word, deuterocanonical additions to Esther. Sometimes it's referred to as the Apocrypha. These are books of the Bible that are like secondary to the ones we use in the Protestant church, but Catholics do use them. For them, it's sacred text. Okay, for them, just like the rest of the Bible is to us. And there might be some Catholics in here, so let me not speak that way. And so, for them, for Catholics, it's still a part of the Bible. But Protestants don't recognize these as part of what we call our actual sacred text. But the reason I bring that up is because there are some additions to Esther. Now, the problem is, and I'm definitely not going to have to read them, in those additions to Esther, Esther does actually pray. There is a prayer. Mordecai has a prayer. All of that. And like I said, Catholics do use it as part of their canon, and Protestants don't. But I just bring that to say, we know, though, that this moment really is about seeking God. But just so you would know, fun fact, there's some other texts out there. And nobody has the original Hebrew. That's part of the problem with the Esther. Of course, the Old Testament is written in Hebrew, and there's no original Hebrew version of those editions. There's just the Greek, shows up later. And so, for Protestants, like, nah, man. But just wanted you to know that fact. But for remains a powerful tool for us, right? Understand that if Esther and the Jews don't cry out and pray for help, they die. So I think of a song we say all the time, I will lift up my eyes into the hills from which cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord who made heaven and earth. And I always think, well, if God can make heaven and earth, surely God can help me with this situation right here. Whatever this is. And sometimes even one of my difficulties I have is sometimes it's just I'm a very independent person, so sometimes it's very easy for me to just shift into handling stuff myself and doing stuff myself. I'm like, man, you ain't praying about none of this. What are you doing? And then I love John 15. I am the vine, you are the branches. Those who abide in me and I in them bear much fruit, because apart from me, you can do nothing. Right? So it's this constant call of Scripture over and over for us to remain connected to God, remain in prayer, in that kind of a posture of prayer. And you know, there's this great, and I forgot to cue it up, so I probably won't play it. There's great, I know y'all watched Lemonade. I know you did. There's this great part in the song, in the visual album, right after, I think it's that Sandcastle song, where they're kind of talking about, you know, them finding reconciliation and all that. But there's this woman, it's clearly a black woman talking, and she says, I just love the Lord. I'm sorry, brother, I love the Lord. That's all I got. she said, when your back's against the wall and the wall's against your back, who you call? Right. Who you call? She said, you gotta call Jesus. You ain't got nobody else to call. You have no other hope, right? Love that part of the film, because that's really what this is about. Esther's back and Mordecai's back, the Jews' back is absolutely up against the wall. They are for real gonna come out and try to. This is the king's decree to go wipe out and to commit massive genocide against the Jews, right? This is serious. So you gotta stop and call them. I will say this too about business too. Somebody, actually Kenyatta Grant, who owns Pink Lips Cosmetics. We're gonna honor her later. Once she posted something on her Instagram or Facebook recently that said, "Pray over your business daily." Right? And I've seen that a lot online. Those of us who have businesses or in leadership positions, we should be praying over that stuff on a regular basis. So, yes, pray with your backs against the wall. But pray other times also on a very regular basis. So let me kind of shift into, so that's kind of the second one. The third step Esther takes, her next savvy secret, is that she accepts and walks into her purpose. You know, once you realize what it is, like, okay, this is really the thing. Let me go ahead on and step on into what I'm supposed to be doing. And really Mordecai has pushed her there because he's saying, perhaps you're here for this very reason, right? You know, the point was, this was not Esther just about you getting to be in VIP, you know, and move straight into the nice part of the harem. This was not about, you know, the king like this, so we put a crown on it. Like, that's not all this was. This is about you being positioned to be able to help your people, right? This was bigger than you. And so sometimes when we think about purpose, like, you know, my Nana on my dad's side, she said to me several times about, your life ain't for you. Your life is for other people. It ain't for you. I listen to her. She's like 90 She says, your life ain't for you. It's not for you. Yes, we get to enjoy, and walking in our purpose is going to be fulfilling. We're going to be happy when we step into the spaces God has called us to. I've never been happier than since I responded to my call to ministry. You know, there's a fulfillment there that I just can't explain. But it ain't just so I can feel good, right? It's so that I can be a blessing to other people. And it's the same way, whatever thing God has called you to. And sometimes it takes courage to say yes to that. But once you do, you know you're moving in the right direction, right? And so, you know, I don't know what God is positioning you to do, but it's something. Like every day you wake up, there's a purpose, there's a reason. I don't know what your Queen Esther experience is going to be. Hopefully it's not that you have to risk your life. When the king is coming, he's going to put out there, hopefully it's nothing that dramatic. But, you know, I preached at this church the other week, and one of the things I said, God has created women to be more than beautiful. We are powerful, anointed, called, and commissioned vessels of God that have been carefully and strategically positioned to transform the world. Like, it's not an accident that you are where you are, that you have the kids you have, the family that you have, that you work where you work. It's not an accident. Like, it's on purpose. Esther didn't show up there on accident. She was there because God needed to use her when Haman started to act a fool, right?
Amen.
And she was, if it had been any other queen, and remember, nobody even knew she was a Jew. It's like, surprise, right? And so, I don't know what it is. And if you haven't figured that thing out, that's all right. Start praying about it. Start praying about it. And you will have your Esther moment. You'll be like, I don't really want to, but all right. And there's blessing on the other side of that obedience. So part of that is get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I've heard a lot of people say that. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And the flip, you can flip it and say, get uncomfortable with being comfortable. Right? Like, nah, I'm just sit back, I'm gonna chill. I don't want them people asking me to do too much. I don't want to get involved. No. Because I can't be giving up my scandal nights and my whatever else. You got to think about, though, what is the life? Why am I here? There's a purpose. There's a purpose. Even Jesus says, though, and this is the piece about courage, that purpose requires courage. Even Jesus says when he's facing his impending death, he's in the Mount of Olives and he's praying. And he says, Father, if you're willing, remove this cup from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done. Now he's getting ready down the cross. He knows they're getting ready to come to him. He knows what's about to happen. It's like, this is not going to be good. And he has that moment of, I don't know if I know, it sounded real good. I was with you. They for real about to come kill me. Like, it's really going down. Right? And so, and we don't have to be asked to do anything like that, die for the sins of the world, right? But there's something that God is calling you to. So if you're going to step into that, if you're going to slay, right, you're going to have to be okay with doing something you don't want to do. Ouch. So where we on time? 8 o'clock. You got something?
No, you got a few comments coming from online.
Okay.
Just glancing. No, they're just adding this.
They add to.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you guys for hanging in. I know it's rude. It seems like I'm totally ignoring you. I'm so not. I will respond when we get in a group later tonight. This is another thing. One thing I would say is another step she took, and this is kind of a minor one, but lean in, right, a little bit, just to use Cheryl Sandberg's term, her book. Walk in the favor that you have. Don't underestimate your influence. Esther didn't recognize, listen, King Xerxes was definitely strong. I want us to be clear. He was like, what you want, boo? You can have the whole, have the kingdom, or whatever you want. You got it, ain't no problem. Whatever you want. He was all on that, like, T.I., you can have whatever you want, right? That's what he was on, right? Well, she didn't recognize that. She hadn't realized the influence that she had. She didn't know. Right? And sometimes we don't. We don't recognize. I'm not saying be manipulative, right? Or scheme and do that kind of thing. But sometimes you do have some influence that you can exert. And when it's for the right purpose and the right reason, it's not right to do that. That's why God gave it to you. He was hype about Esther, okay? And so she had a space in there, right? And so she was able to go. And some of the evidence is there. Chapter 2, verse 17, the king loved Esther more than all the other women, right? And then later, we also know that she had shared information that saved his life earlier. Now, the credit was given to Mordecai, but she was the one to share the information with him. And so the king was hype about her. And if you look every other time when they go to the banquet that she has for him, or whatever you want, and in the banquet the next day, I told you whatever you want, and tell me what it is you want, right? So don't underestimate your influence and what you have to give. The next thing that she did, be strategic, right? Now, when she went into the king, now she could have just said right then, your boy is tripping, he's trying to kill us, I need your help. She could have came right on out, but she said, oh no, I want to have a banquet. And now listen, the king, he was for real the king of the turn up, like, for real. Did y'all read that chapter 1? He was doing the most. Like, that big old party they was having, The one scholar pointed out it wasn't even a purpose. Like it wasn't like a royal birth or a coronation. Or, nothing had happened. He was just like 180 days. Let's get it. Let's go. Right. So he knew. Now, none of the scholars say this is not evident in the text, but I'm saying he liked to kick it. He liked to party. He liked to be married and have a good time. So she's like, I know my boo like a baby, so let me make this back before you come on in here and talk about what we need to talk about, right? And then he comes in, he's like, okay. And another thing, then she says the second time, she could have told him at the first banquet, but she didn't, right? She says again, and he's like, what you want? Anything you want, half the kingdom. And she's like, what I really like to do is have a second banquet. Second banquet tomorrow. So if you and Haman, if it would please the king, if you and Haman would come in, we're going to have another banquet. And then I promise you, I will tell you exactly what I want. Well, now, he's hanging on every little thing because he really wants to know. And one scholar pointed to the fact that he's absolutely going to give her what she wants now. Because she's like, got him like, oh my God, like, tell me what you want, what you want. And another thing it does is it disarms Haman. So he thinks, oh, I'm really big stuff. Right. He went home. Right? He went home. He went home. I was at a private banquet with the king and the queen. And I'm going to another one tomorrow. Right? So he's chilling. He's thinking everything's all good. Don't even realize he gets set up big time. Right? Right? Esther like, you ain't the only one that can set somebody up. Let me show you what's good. Right? So she was strategic about it, and nobody advised her on that. That was her own wisdom, right? She's pulling from her own resources. Like, I think this is how we should do this, right? And so she was strategic about how she did what she did. So when it's time to slay, when it's time to do your thing, whatever that thing is, be wise about it. Think carefully about it. How do I need to set this up? What's the way to do it? And some of that, some of that knowing how, and it just comes with. Comes with growing, it comes with spending time with God, all of that kind of stuff. Learning from your mistakes, learning how to kind of put stuff together. And sometimes you just have that woman's intuition, like, this is how I do this, just like that, right? And so, pay attention to that. If something's saying, we're going to do something a little different this time, do it like that. So that was another piece. And so those really are what I would call her savvy secrets. First of all, she listened to wise counsel, right? She prayed, right? Text says fasted. We can say she prayed, right? Fasted and prayed. She asked for help from her community, right? Then she decided to accept and walk in her purpose. She saw what it was, and she said, matter of fact, let me read that verse. Verse 16, when she accepted and walked in her purpose. This is 4:16. The Bible says, go gather all the Jews to be found in Susa and hold a fast on my behalf, and neither eat nor drink for 3 days, night or day. I and my maids will also fast as you do. After that, I will go to the king, though it is against the law, and if I perish, I perish. So that's her resolve. I'm going to just do it. Like, this is hard. I might die. Put back in her mind, might die anyway, right? So I might as well go for it, right? And then when she does, she ultimately is very strategic. One thing she didn't do was realize the influence she had, but that's something we can do in terms of pulling from her story. And then finally, just be strategic, which really means engaging your own wisdom. Some insights, those things drop in your spirit, be like, thank you, yep, got it. This is how I need to do that. Right? And so those are what I would say are Esther's savvy secrets of success. Yeah?
Yeah.
How y'all feel about that?
Good.
Thoughts, concerns?
I have some thoughts. I find that this is a coincidence that you named it ISlay right after the Formation song, because I don't know if Beyonce got on the phone or something. Her album was like her purpose, to talk about all the things that were going on in the world, such as young black boys dying by police brutality, the women losing their work to men, and just stepping up and regaining their worth and their respect from not only black men but America as a whole. And she talks about different things that she is that person, that voice, and maybe she at the time didn't know she was that role model that we heard.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. I enjoyed this. Y'all enjoyed it? All right, so before we leave tonight, we are right on schedule. Amen. We are going to, one of the things that we are definitely doing in this Bible study, we want to really be serious about empowering and encouraging women. And so every week we're going to have a woman entrepreneur with us, and we are going to pray over her life, her business, because we want to see her slay. She probably already slaying, right? Definitely our girlfriend tonight is definitely already slaying and definitely doing her thing. And so every week we'll have our person, kind of share a little bit about their business, just a couple of minutes, and then we have our prayer intercessor. I don't know if some of y'all saw the video this weekend. I put it in the Facebook group. This is Tanisha Hobson. She is absolutely anointed and gifted of God in the area of intercessory prayer. Just absolutely. And so she's serving as our prayer intercessor for the whole series. And so she's going to lead our prayers. She's already been praying for y'all. She got your names, whole nine. She can call your name out, pray over. Well, she don't even know what all the concerns are. But she already been lifted it in. If you need to ask her to pray for something specific, you certainly can. So we're going to first ask Shanita McAfee Bryant to come on up and tell us about her business. We got to get you positioned. Yes, people want to see you on there.
I said I told it.
Oh.
You saw me the other day. I had a hat on. You was working, girl.
See what y'all talking about.
I think I'm gonna take my twist out. And I realize it's 9 o'clock.
So maybe if you, let's see. There you go. Yeah, that's good. You can sit.
Yeah. So I am Shanita. I have a restaurant, Magnolias. It's on 99th and Hometown. We just moved there in November. So it's been we started that process this time last year. So yeah, it's been a year-long process of negotiations and renovations and unrenovations. And renovations gone bad, and now we're open. So yeah, I was a little apprehensive about coming at first, just because I tend to be like a private person. I don't really, I've always been on the island. I just kind of do what I do, and don't really expect anyone to care. Just kind of move through life that way. So one of the things that I've been challenging myself with is being vulnerable and telling my story and letting people know, everyone thinks that it's easy. Like I just woke up, 4 years ago. I was like, oh, I know what I'm going to do today. I'm going to go open a restaurant. That looks fun. And cook. So yeah. Well, that's where we are. We had a lot of stuff going on. Some good stuff, some bad stuff. There's a lot of rumors going on right now, and so we're not closed.
Amen.
We're not closed nor closing. Anytime soon. We just are dealing with litigation and contract negotiation with our landlord, and unfortunately, the devil is busy, and the newspaper decided to report on something that I personally haven't even seen myself. So I don't even know all the ins and outs of it, because neither myself nor my lawyer have gotten a hold of the paperwork. So that's all we'll say on that. So you want to have a
Talk about the food.
Right, girl. Listen. Taco Tuesday tomorrow.
It is Taco Tuesday tomorrow, 5 to 9. So it's the after work Taco Tuesday.
Yeah.
So you can actually come and get tacos on Tuesday. So what we do is like modern Southern cuisine. I take everything that I learned in culinary school and everything that I learned in my family, and I mesh it all together and come up with an interesting kind of cuisine. Like we said, critics and not critics alike. Either you love it or you hate it, and that that's just I don't want to. There's no other way to slice it or dice it. What I found about Southern cooking is that it's very emotional for people, and so the people who dislike it is generally tied to some type of emotion or something in their life, and they're like, well, that's just not how my grandmother did it. Okay, and I'm sorry, but this is how I'm gonna do it. So either you eat it or you don't. So yeah, that's where
The food is delicious.
Somebody
Right.
somebody online asked if you send tacos to Maine.
No, I don't send tacos to Maine, but I think that the taco thing was just kind of like, my husband loves Mexican food, and it was just one of those kind of things where I had to like, throughout the course of our relationship, figure out, do I like tacos? And if I do how many times do I want to go to margaritas? So, and just fooling around with salsas, and it's a part of your like culinary journey. You just get these like, Erica used to work there. I get these like wild. I don't know. One day I'm Chinese and everything's got like some type of Asian. So it's like been salsa and that could be just like the weather changing and wanting to be warm. And when I think of like salsa and Mexican food, you think of warm. And I was tired of winter, so yeah, it's kind of where it all comes
Talk
from.
about the red velvet
I
waffle.
Right, listen, she playing. She read
I
something.
cannot talk about the red velvet waffles because
Well, talk about the Buddha mac and
honestly,
cheese.
Baby girl, that right there. Yeah. Oh.
So like the thing about the red velvet waffles though is that I have to be like honest. I didn't come up with that.
Here,
That's my son. It was like
But we
a
can
mom-
get it at the restaurant
You
though.
can't get it at the
I didn't
restaurant.
want to use
But like that's just not, yeah, that was me being like, okay, what do you think we should put on the menu? And he was like, ooh, red velvet waffles. And I was like, yikes. Okay. That's what you want your contribution to be. So yeah, that was, that I cannot take credit for that. That was all my child.
But it's in your restaurant.
Right. It's your baby.
And your child.
Yeah.
Shrimp and grits will bless you. I don't hear me. I don't even like grits.
Me.
I don't even like grits. Like, we eat rice. Right? We eat rice. Like, we won't do the grits for real. But I will eat. She does this grit cake. It's amazing.
Well, when we use grits, if it's in a paper sack, and you rip the top off of it and add hot water and put it in the microwave, those are not grits.
right.
So I actually use grits.
Real deal.
If you can cook them in less than an hour,
They
they're
ain't
probably
grits.
not grits. There's some form of something that was maybe at one point in time in his life a piece of a grit. It was actually grits.
Come on, teach.
So,
That's how we go.
if you can microwave it or put it in a thing, it's probably not something I'm doing.
So here's a good thing, and I know I gotta get you a phone, but I'm gonna go ahead and tell. Okay, so the fun part is you will all get to try it because the closing brunch will be at Magnolia's June the 5th. So we gotta work out the details of the menu, but within the next week, I promise you, we'll get the link set up so you can, start paying or whatever. We're gonna all be at, we're gonna all go to Magnolia, so it's gonna be wonderful. So Tanisha, why don't you come up, love, and we're going to pray God's blessing over our sister.
Yes.
We just want to see her do well.
Yes.
And see perfect timing. All the foolishness,
Yes.
perfect timing for you to be here.
Yes.
Man.
If everybody will stretch their hands for her.
Man.
Here we go now. Y'all believe with me, all right?
Yes.
Lord God, we thank you and praise you for Chef Shanita, God. Thank you and praise you, God, for Magnolias, God. We thank you for those hard places that stretched her to the point of almost breaking her, God. We thank you that it did not break her, God. We thank you for a successful business, oh God. And even though we've heard her say there are some litigations going on and there's some other struggles going on, God, you sit high and you look low, God, and nothing is too big for you, God. So we declare and decree right now in the name of Jesus that you would go before her, God. You make every crooked place straight, oh God, and you turn this thing around for her good, oh God, that people may see you in it, God, and be saved and better because of it, oh God. We thank you for her patrons, oh God. We ask that they continue to be faithful, oh God. Lord, we ask that you would bless the finances of this business, God, that you will grow it in the name of Jesus, that she's able to afford every battle she has, oh God, that you will win it, oh God, that she gives you the praise and the glory, that she doesn't take her eyes off of you in the struggle, God, and in the storm, God, but she removes even her umbrella, God, so that she can see the rain, oh God, because it will teach her something else, oh God, something new, God. And Lord, I ask that you would even stretch her a little further, God, that you would allow her to even open up a little bit and not be so introverted, God, because people can learn from her story, from her struggle, oh God. And it's not about her, God. It's about the business. It's about the secret successes, God, that she's had, God. Lord, this is her story, God, and it's her story to tell. So we ask that you give her courage and strength to do that, God. And if there's anything she needs, send someone her way, God, to be an encouragement and a support, God, or a lawyer, God, that's free. Whatever it is, God, we ask that you would send to her right now in the name of Jesus, God. And we ask, Lord God, that you would bless every woman in this room, God, from the front of their head to the sole of their feet, oh God. Whatever their issues are, whatever their longings are, God, I ask that you would touch right now in the name of Jesus, God. Some know their purposes, God, and they've been afraid, God, but tonight no more, oh God. We thank you that they will walk in their calling, God, and their purposes, God, that they will be able to tell somebody else, God, how you brought them through this situation, God, and lifted them up, oh God. We thank you for the story of Esther, and we thank you for the facilitator of this Bible study, God. We ask that you would continue to bless her, God. We ask, Lord God, that you would go before her, God, and make even next week easier for her, oh God. We thank you and we praise you for what we have heard. We ask that you would allow us to retain it, God, that it will make us better and do us some good. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. All right. So, thank you, Shanita. I love you much. Love you, love you. So let's just quickly close out. That was our closing prayer for sure. But just some things about next week. So next week is Queen Vashti, and we're talking about the power of your no. You know, sometimes we need to say no stuff. And so Queen Vashti, so if you did the reading for this week, it's already done, because it'll be chapters, still in the book of Esther, chapter 1 through chapter 2, verse 1. Her story is 1 through 2, verse 1. Okay? So, Periscope, Facebook friends, make sure you read your stuff up for next week. Want to mention this again. If there are people on here who haven't registered yet, please go ahead and go to virtualislayBiblestudy.eventbrite.com. Again, that's virtualislayBiblestudy.eventbrite.com. That link is in the Arionne Yvette page on Facebook. You want to make sure you go there so you can get the email, you can get directions, get all the information. I know there's some people out there who's doing online who are in Kansas City and might want to join us for brunch. Again, I'm sending all that stuff out via email. So, got to make sure you're registered and ready to go on that. So, y'all have fun tonight?
Yeah!
All right, 1 week down. I will see you ladies next week. God bless you. Bye,